I'm hearing you sing, I'm hearing Dad, and the first thing I thought of, and I don't think I know the answer to this. Did you ride? Were you in rodeo, or did you try that realm?
I was a ranch kid.
Right.
That's what I did.
You're like, I ain't getting on the back of nothing.
Well, I rode some steers and stuff when I was little. Me
Right.
and my buddies would, enter the county fair, junior rodeo, stuff like that. But yeah, I just grew up on the ranch, feeding cows and haying and trailing and branding, all that stuff.
I've never done it, but that seems like some of the hardest work ever in the world.
Especially this time of year.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, especially, I don't know, it's about a week ago, there's that cold spell. It's about 52 below with the wind chill, and, the cows ain't going to feed themselves. So getting out there is always kind of fun.
Talking to like Django Walker, and I know his dad was great in our scene. And then over the years, Django wasn't like he wanted to pave his own path and not live off his father. And sometimes when you're the son or you're the daughter of an artist, do you have a problem when you walk in and do you feel like you have to prove yourself that I can do my own music? I don't have to live off my dad's legacy.
No, I guess I never really thought about it like that. Like I mentioned earlier, when I started playing solo gigs, the only songs I played were Dad's songs. I never even gave it a thought to learn anybody else's. And then eventually somebody came up and said, well, do you have any of your own stuff?
Sure.
I was like, well, no. I don't even know how to write a song. But that's when my producer, the great Mac McAnally, stepped in.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there was this idea. There was actually a bunch of ideas that Dad had written down, song ideas, but none of them were finished. And this has probably been, 8 years ago, something like that. And so Mac found out kind of what I was trying to put together, trying to finish one of the Dad's songs. He goes, well, shoot, why don't you come see me? And so me and him sat down at his place and finished this idea about a rusty pickup truck and barbed wire and firewood in the stack. I guess money is all we lack. That was what we had to work with. And it's called We Ain't Got It All. But yeah, I'm proud to carry on the tradition, Yeah.
Glad you are, because there's a lot of people that loved your dad, loved his music, and loved
Sure.
that legacy that it left and started for a lot of people. I mean, Garth Brooks tell you he ripped off Chris Ledoux to this day.
Yeah.
Ripped his show off, but still gave the love. And for a lot of us, that's how we knew to understand selling CDs out of the back, or probably 8 tracks and cassettes back in Dad's day.
Yeah.
And then moving forward, and how great that legend and that rodeo lifestyle, obviously, that's still with you to this day. Do you still work on the ranch a little bit?
Once in a a
Give it up for the guitar?
Yeah, I don't live in Wyoming anymore. Me
Right.
and my wife and kids live in northeast Kansas. But we get up to see Mom, every Thanksgiving, and then we got Chris Ledoux days in June, and then throughout the summer, we'll end up swinging through there, to see the family and maybe play a round of golf and then hit the road. But and then of course my little brother Bo, he's the youngest one. He's kind of taken over the place, and I think the place looks better now than it ever has. He's really done a lot of improvements, and anytime I'm in the neighborhood, he's like, hey, you want to do some haying? So he's going to put me to work if I'm around, and I'm happy to do it.
If somebody knows how to do it, just bring them on out there. You got one more in you before you get out of here?
Sure. Let's see.
Surprise.
Well, I'll play this one. This is actually one I wrote for Dad not long after he'd passed away. Because he always had these real vivid dreams that he could fly. And we had these conversations, like when I was a kid, he would ask us kids, like, if we could be an animal of any kind, what would you want to... And it wasn't like to come back as an animal.
Sure.
It was just like, what would you want to be?
Yeah.
And I think I said like a grizzly bear or a mountain lion or something. Then I asked him, he said, well, maybe a hawk. And on our ranch, we don't have hawks. We got, bald eagles, gold eagles, meadowlarks, that kind of stuff. But when he passed away, my mom was out for a walk. She's outside all the time. And she noticed this hawk just following her.
Wow.
All over the place. And she, told me that story, and I just got the chills. And I was like, this might make for a good song. So it's simply called The Hawk. Well, he always dreamed that he could fly and feel free just like the hawk. There was magic in the dreams he had. It lit the path that he'd walk. And though he left us years ago, his spirit took to the sky. And through life lessons and stories, his memory will never die. And now we all do miss him very much, but you know God has a plan. He may have sent him back to earth to soar over this land. It might be reincarnation, or maybe a wish come true. Well, I believe Dad came back as a hawk, watching over me and you. Well, he'll track us along the old dirt road, from the house down to the barn, just keeping a watchful eye on us. Then he'll follow us all back home. And if I'm feeling down and I need my Father's advice, well, I know just where to find him. He flies along these western skies. Now we all do miss him very much, but you know God has a plan. He may have sent him back to earth to soar over this land. It might be reincarnation, or maybe a wish come true. Well, I believe Dad came back as a hawk, watching over me and you. Well, I remember a few days after he passed, my mom took a walk outside. She said this hawk had followed her everywhere and never let her out of its sight. And the strange thing is that hawks are rare. You don't see them much on the ranch. But ever since Dad's been gone, well, there's been one sitting up on that branch. And now we all do miss him very much, but you know God has a plan. He may have sent him back to earth to soar over this land. It might be reincarnation, or maybe a wish come true. Well, I believe Dad came back as a hawk, watching over me and you. Yeah, I believe my dad is that old hawk, and I guess dreams do come true. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you for that.